The first time it happened, I thought it was just an oversight, a simple mistake that anyone could make in the chaos of a family gathering. But as I sat there watching my children's faces fall, while their cousins excitedly rattled off their dinner preferences, I felt something cold and sharp twist in my chest. "What do you want from Golden Dragon?" Mom asked, her phone already open to the restaurant's menu, pen poised over a notepad. She looked directly at my sister Sarah's kids, Emma, 12, and Jacob, 10, completely bypassing my own children, Lily and Marcus, who were sitting right there on the couch. "Can we get the sweet and sour pork?" Emma piped up immediately. "And spring rolls," Jacob added, bouncing in his seat. Mom dutifully wrote down their requests, her face warm with the kind of indulgent smile she'd always reserved for Sarah's children. According to YouTube analytics, 99.5% of viewers are not subscribed. That's a huge number. By subscribing the channel that is completely free, you'll help support the channel and never miss fresh content. "Anything else, sweethearts?" I cleared my throat. "What about Lily and Marcus?" Mom glanced over as if suddenly remembering they existed. "Oh, right. What do you two want?" But the damage was already done. I could see it in Lily's careful expression, the way she'd learned to hide disappointment behind a polite smile. At 8 years old, she was already too good at making herself smaller, less demanding. Marcus, only 5, was more transparent in his confusion, looking from his grandmother to his cousins with wide, questioning eyes. Can we get chicken lo mein?" Lily asked quietly. "Make that 2 orders," I added, trying to keep the edge out of my voice. This was the pattern that had been building for months now, ever since Sarah moved back to town after her divorce. The family had rallied around her, as they should have. She needed support, and her kids had been through a lot. But somewhere along the way, supporting Sarah had transformed into something else entirely. It had become a systematic elevation of her children over mine, as if there were only so much love and attention to go around, and Sarah's family crisis had earned them the lion's share. At Christmas, Sarah's kids had been asked to open presents first, their reactions photographed and fussed over while mine waited patiently in the background. At Easter, when we'd all hunted for eggs, the adults had made sure Emma and Jacob found the special golden eggs with the biggest prizes, leaving the regular plastic ones for my children. At family dinners, conversations revolved around Emma's piano recitals and Jacob's soccer games, while Lily's art projects and Marcus's newfound love of reading went largely unnoticed. Each incident was small on its own, easily explained away as coincidence or practical necessity. But together they formed a pattern that was becoming impossible to ignore. My children were being relegated to second-class status in their own family, and I was the only one who seemed to notice or care. 2 weeks after the Takeout incident, I finally confronted Mom about it. "I need to talk to you about something," I said, having asked her to meet me for coffee while the kids were at school. She stirred her latte, looking mildly curious. "What's on your mind, honey?" "It's about how you and Dad, how the whole family, treats my kids compared to Sarah's kids." Her spoon clinked against the mug as she set it down. "What do you mean? Mom, come on." "You know what I mean. At every family gathering, at every dinner, Sarah's kids get first choice, first attention, first everything. My kids just sit there and wait for whatever's left over." "That's not true, Rachel. We love all our grandchildren equally." "Do you?" "Because it sure doesn't look that way. Last month at dinner, you asked Emma about her school day for 15 minutes while Lily sat right there. You didn't ask her a single question until I practically forced it." Mom's face tightened. "Sarah's children have been through a traumatic divorce, Rachel. They need extra support right now. And my children don't matter because their parents are still married? That's not what I said. But It's what you meant, isn't it? Sarah's kids deserve more because they're dealing with trauma, and mine deserve less because their life is supposedly easier. You're being dramatic. The dismissal hit like a slap. I'm being dramatic? Mom, my 5-year-old asked me why Grandma doesn't like him as much as Jacob. How do I answer that question? For just a moment, I saw something flicker across her face. Guilt, maybe, or recognition. But it was gone quickly, replaced by defensiveness. You're putting words in Marcus's mouth. Children don't think about things that way unless adults plant those ideas. So now it's my fault that my child notices he's being treated differently? I think you're imagining problems that don't exist, Rachel. Maybe you're jealous of the attention Sarah's been getting. The accusation hung in the air between us, ugly and pointed. I felt my face flush with anger and hurt. This isn't about Sarah. This is about my children being treated like they don't matter. I'm not going to sit here and be accused of playing favorites. I've always been fair with all my grandchildren, but she was wrong, and I knew it, and somewhere deep down, she knew it too. The conversation ended with both of us upset, and nothing resolved. That night, I lay awake staring at the ceiling, replaying every slight, every overlooked moment, every time my children had been made to feel less important than their cousins. That's when I started planning. If my family was going to treat my children as an afterthought, then maybe it was time they experienced what that felt like. Maybe they needed a taste of their own medicine before they'd understand what they were doing. The opportunity came 3 weeks later. Sarah was hosting a big barbecue for Jacob's 11th birthday, and the whole extended family would be there. Parents, aunts, uncles, cousins. It was supposed to be a celebration, but I saw it as something else entirely. The perfect stage for my revenge. I spent days preparing. I researched the logistics, planned every detail, and prepared for every possible contingency. This wasn't going to be some petty, obvious retaliation. It needed to be subtle, strategic, and undeniable. The party was on a Saturday afternoon. I arrived with my family right on time, carrying the gifts we'd bought for Jacob and wearing my most pleasant smile. The backyard was decorated with soccer-themed banners and balloons, and Sarah had clearly put a lot of effort into making everything perfect for her son. "Rachel, you made it!" Sarah hugged me, genuinely happy to see me. Despite everything, I still loved my sister. This wasn't about hurting her. It was about making a point that couldn't be ignored or explained away. For the first hour, everything proceeded normally. Kids ran around the yard while adults chatted over drinks and appetizers. I watched and waited, my stomach tight with nervous energy. Then, right on schedule, the first phase of my plan began. "Has anyone seen the birthday cake?" Sarah called out, checking her phone. The bakery was supposed to deliver it an hour ago. I pulled out my own phone and made a show of checking it. "Oh no," I said, loud enough for everyone to hear. "I have 3 missed calls from Sweet Dreams Bakery." Sarah's face went pale. "What? Why would they call you?" "I called them yesterday to confirm the delivery time," I lied smoothly. They must have gotten confused and thought I was the contact person. "Let me call them back." I stepped away and pretended to make a phone call, complete with frustrated expressions and hand gestures. When I returned, I delivered the news with perfectly crafted regret. "I'm so sorry, Sarah. There was a mix-up in their system. They delivered the cake to another party across town. They can't get a replacement here for at least 2 hours. The devastation on Sarah's face was immediate and complete. A child's birthday party without a cake was unthinkable, especially with all these family members present. I watched her mind racing, trying to figure out a solution. "Maybe we could run to the grocery store," Mom suggested, but everyone knew that store-bought sheet cake couldn't compare to the elaborate soccer-themed creations Sarah had ordered. I could try to bake something, Aunt Linda offered, but that would take hours. That's when I revealed the second part of my plan. Actually, I said, as if the thought had just occurred to me, I brought a backup dessert just in case. It's not a birthday cake, but I made Lily's favorite chocolate trifle. It's in the car. Relief flooded Sarah's face. Really? Oh my God, Rachel, you're a lifesaver. I retrieved the elaborate trifle from my car, the one I'd spent all morning preparing, and set it on the dessert table. It was beautiful, layered with rich chocolate cake, pudding, and whipped cream, decorated with fresh berries. It looked like something from a fancy restaurant. Wow, Aunt Rachel, that looks amazing, Emma said, and several adults murmured their agreement. And that's when I delivered the crucial line. Thanks. It's Lily's absolute favorite dessert. I thought she should have something special at the party, too. For just a moment, everyone seemed to register what I'd said. Lily beamed, standing a little straighter as attention focused on her for once. She was the one whose favorite dessert was saving the day, making her the temporary hero of the party. But I wasn't done yet. As the afternoon wore on, I continued with subtle manipulations designed to shift the spotlight. When it came time for party games, I remembered that I'd brought supplies for Lily's favorite game, a treasure hunt I'd carefully prepared with clues hidden around the yard. When the kids got restless, I suggested Marcus lead everyone in the singing game he'd learned at school. When conversation lagged, I steered it toward my children's recent achievements, Lily's art being displayed at school, Marcus's progress in reading. Each redirection was natural, helpful, innocent. No one could accuse me of being pushy or attention-seeking. I was just being a supportive family member, contributing to the success of the party. But the cumulative effect was undeniable. For once, my children were at the center of attention, their interests and talents driving the family gathering. I watched my family's reactions carefully. Some seemed genuinely delighted to engage with Lily and Marcus in ways they rarely did. Others appeared confused by the shift in dynamics, not quite sure how to react when they couldn't default to fawning over Sarah's kids. But it was Sarah's reaction that surprised me most. As the party progressed and more attention focused on my children, I expected her to become resentful or competitive. Instead, she seemed almost relieved. For the first time in months, the pressure wasn't entirely on her and her kids to be the center of everyone's concern. The climax came during present opening time. Traditionally, this would have been Jacob's moment of pure glory, with all eyes on him as he unwrapped gifts and performed the expected excitement for each one. But I had prepared for this too. Before Jacob opens his presents, I announced, Lily has something she's been working on all week that she wanted to share. My daughter stepped forward, clutching a handmade card she'd spent hours creating. It was a beautiful, intricate piece of art featuring Jacob playing soccer with a heartfelt message she'd written herself. "I made this for you, Jacob," she said shyly, handing him the card, "because you're my favorite cousin and I love watching you play soccer." The adults melted. This wasn't just a gift. It was a gesture of pure, innocent love from one child to another. Jacob's face lit up as he examined every detail of the artwork, and for once, he seemed to see his younger cousin as more than just background noise. "This is so cool, Lily!" "Thank you." He hugged her, spontaneously, and I felt my heart swell with genuine happiness for both children. Even in the middle of my carefully orchestrated revenge, this moment was real and beautiful. My daughter had created something meaningful, and it was being recognized and appreciated. This was what I wanted for my children all the time, not to be more important than their cousins, but to be equally valued and celebrated. The present opening continued, But the dynamic had shifted. Now people were paying attention to how thoughtful Lily's gift was, asking her about her artistic process, praising her generosity. Marcus, emboldened by his sister's success, started offering commentary on each gift, his 5-year-old observations making everyone laugh. But then I noticed Mom watching me. Her eyes were sharp and calculating, and I realized she'd figured out what I was doing. The look she gave me was a mixture of recognition, disappointment, and something else, maybe respect for the sophistication of my manipulation. After the party, as families began to disperse, Mom approached me while I was loading leftover trifle into my car. "That was quite a performance today," she said quietly. I straightened up, meeting her gaze directly. "I don't know what you mean." The mysteriously missing cake? The perfectly timed backup dessert? The sudden treasure hunt supplies? Come on, Rachel. I raised you. I know when you're scheming. For a moment, I considered maintaining the innocent act, but looking at her face, I realized there was no point. Fine. Yes, I orchestrated some of today's events. Did it work? Work for what? Did you see how happy Lily and Marcus were when people actually paid attention to them? Did you notice how they lit up when their interests and talents mattered for once? Mom was quiet for a long moment, her expression thoughtful. "Is that really how you think we treat your children?" "Mom, it's not what I think. It's what I know. And more importantly, it's what they know. I never intended. I know you didn't intend to hurt them, but impact matters more than intention." She looked across the yard to where Lily and Marcus were still playing with their cousins, all of them laughing and running around together. For once, my children weren't on the periphery, trying to join in. They were full participants in the group. "The cake thing was cruel," she said finally. Was it? Or was it a way to create space for my children to contribute meaningfully to a family celebration for once? "You could have just talked to me again." "I did talk to you. You told me I was being dramatic and imagining problems. You said I was jealous of Sarah." Mom winced at the reminder. Maybe I wasn't ready to hear what you were saying. And now? Now I'm wondering how many other things I haven't been ready to see. That conversation marked the beginning of a shift in our family dynamics. It wasn't immediate or complete. Patterns that had been building for months don't disappear overnight. But Mom started making conscious efforts to include my children more deliberately in conversations and activities. Dad, once Mom explained the situation to him, began asking Lily about her artwork and listening to Marcus read during family dinners. Sarah, interestingly, was the most supportive of all. When I finally told her what I'd done and why, she was initially hurt and angry. But after a few days to process, she came to me with an apology. "I never realized how much space my crisis was taking up," she said. "I was so focused on helping my kids adjust to the divorce that I didn't notice we were pushing yours aside." "I understand why it happened," I replied, "and I'm not angry at you for needing support. I just needed my kids to matter too." "They do matter. They've always mattered. I think we all just forgot to show it." The changes weren't perfect or universal. Some family members continued to favor Sarah's children, either out of habit or because they genuinely believed the divorce trauma warranted special treatment indefinitely. But enough changed that my children began to feel more included and valued at family gatherings. More importantly, I had proven something to myself and to my family. I would not stand by quietly while my children were treated as less important than their cousins. I would advocate for them, even if it meant being manipulative or confrontational, even if it meant orchestrating elaborate schemes to make my point. Was what I did right? I've asked myself that question hundreds of times since Jacob's birthday party. I manipulated a family situation, lied about a cake delivery, and turned a child's birthday party into a stage for my grievances. I caused Sarah genuine distress in a moment when she was trying to create something special for her son. But I also gave my children a day when they felt valued and important. I forced my family to see dynamics they had been blind to or willfully ignoring. I changed the pattern of marginalization that was becoming entrenched in our family culture. Perhaps the most telling measure of whether my actions were justified came from an unexpected source: Jacob himself. A few weeks after his party, he came up to me at another family gathering. "Aunt Rachel," he said, "can Lily make me another card sometime? The one she made for my birthday is hanging in my room, and all my friends think it's really cool." That's when I knew that what I'd done had been about more than revenge or evening the score. It had been about creating space for authentic relationships between the cousins, relationships that had been stunted by the adults' unconscious favoritism. Lily wasn't just Marcus's shy little sister anymore. She was Jacob's talented cousin who made amazing artwork. Marcus wasn't just the baby of the group. He was a funny, smart kid who could make everyone laugh with his observations. My family was planning to order takeout and asked my sister's kids what they wanted. As my kids waited, overlooked, and unheard, I realized that sometimes love requires more than patience and understanding. Sometimes it requires action, even when that action is uncomfortable or morally ambiguous. I don't regret what I did. I regret that it was necessary, but I don't regret doing it. Because my children deserved better, and now they're getting it. And in the end, that's worth a little family drama and a manipulated birthday cake. The takeout incident was the last time my children were treated as an afterthought. It turns out that all it took was one elaborate revenge scheme to remind everyone that there's enough love and attention to go around. We just have to be intentional about sharing it equally. Sometimes the best revenge isn't about hurting the people who wronged you. Sometimes it's about creating the world you want your children to live in, even if you have to be a little sneaky to make it happen.